Hello, 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 and welcome. Just making sure that we're live across all channels. Just bear with me for a moment. My team needs a couple of links. I hope you've all been having a really fantastic day. Getting all the jobs that you need to get done on a Sunday. Okay, it looks like everything is now working, which is fantastic. Thank you very much, Lozzie. Very much appreciated. Okay. Hi and welcome back. I'm Michelle, founder of JMB Inspired and host of Nervous System Reset for Caregivers. Today is day 6 and we're almost there. August 13th is 4 days away and I want as many caregivers as possible in that room with me on Thursday. If you are here live or watching a replay, pop something in the comments so I know you found me. Today I want to name something that I think is one of the most painful and least talked about realities of navigating a medical system as a caregiver. Hi Susan and welcome. It is the moment when you have done everything right. You identified the problem early, you sought help before it became a crisis. You walked into that room, you were prepared, clear, and asking for exactly the right things. And the system looked back at you and said, not yet. Not because your loved one wasn't struggling, not because your concerns weren't valid, but because the numbers on a blood test hadn't crossed a clinical threshold, because a policy required a specific marker before funding or support could be accessed, because the system was built to respond to crisis, not to prevent it. That is not a you problem. That is a system problem. And today I want to talk about why it happens and what the research says about it and what it does to a caregiver's nervous system when it does. Here is what the research tells us. This is published research, and it's been found that caregivers want and need proactive supports to equip them with tools and resources to protect their capacity to care and also support their loved ones. However, the current system of support is heavily focused on a reactive medical approach. Proactive healthcare strives to involve patients in their own care, allowing physicians and patients to work together to address health problems before they advance, helping patients improve their health through lifestyle changes rather than dramatic interventions, and helping health systems and patients alike avoid the expense of high-risk conditions like emergency surgeries or extended ICU stays. And yet, the system is not built that way. What we know specifically about eating disorder care is deeply confronting. The lack of standardized criteria for accessing different levels of care contributes to inconsistent clinical decision making, potential delays in referral, and inequities in services provisions across regions and healthcare systems. This variability may result in undertreatment for some patients, and in the absence of clearly defined care pathways, clinicians often rely on subject judgment, which can hinder timely intervention and continuity of care, particularly for patients transitioning between levels of service. Now, what does this mean in plain language? This means that the supports available to your loved one can depend not just on how unwell they are, but on which region you live in, which medical professional you see, and whether the numbers on a specific test have crossed a specific line. That is not a reflection of your advocacy. That is a system that was not designed to catch people before they fall, I want to share a story today because this is not abstract for me. This is the room that changed everything. My loved one and I attended a medical appointment to seek support during a significant flare in their eating disorder. We went in clear. We went in asking for proactive intervention. We discussed options including nasogastric tube and high-calorie feeds to prevent hospitalization and further deterioration of their entire system. My loved one wanted to stop the cycle. They wanted to gain control of their health. We left that appointment believing we had a plan to move forward. And then we went back for the follow-up. And we were told that the blood test numbers were not critical enough, that my loved one was 2 kilograms away from the clinical markers required for medical support to be accessed. That due to protocols, Medicare guidelines, and health system legislation, the support was not available until they were much sicker. I want you to sit with that for a moment. 2 kilograms. A person who was asking for help. A caregiver had done everything right, and the answer was not yet. This is where the hard room begins. Because now you are not just navigating a medical conversation. You are navigating a threat to the well-being of someone you love, inside a system that cannot help you until the situation is worse. You are facing a financial barrier, a political barrier, a medical system built on crisis and chaos rather than early intervention. That one room, that one answer created a catalyst to a systemic breakdown that 10 years later, we are still working to maintain just baseline health. From a malnutrition disorder that did not have to become permanent, a door that was closed 2 kilograms too early. These are the moments no one prepares caregivers for. These are the hard rooms I had to navigate without a manual, not just once, but again and again, across 10 years of a system that kept asking us to wait until it was worse. That is why J&B Inspired exists, because no caregiver should have to stand in a room with that kind of power imbalance, fighting for proactive care without the words, the tools, or the knowledge of what avenues actually exist. This is why the Hard Room Words Kit workshop is happening this Thursday. And I want to name what happens inside you in those moments because it really matters. When you walk into a room seeking help and leave without it, your nervous system does not file that as a neutral experience. It files it as a threat that was real, that you could not resolve, and that you have to carry home. And then you have to go back and ask again, with the memory of that room still in your body from the last time. This is what chronic advocacy does. It layers threat onto threat until the nervous system is on high alert before you even walked through the door. You are not overreacting. You are responding to a system that has trained your body to expect to be turned away. The tools in the Hard Room Words Kit are specifically designed for this, for caregivers who are not just walking into a hard room for the first time, but for caregivers who are walking back in after already being dismissed, already being told not yet, already carrying the weight of what the system failed to prevent. August 13th is this Thursday. That's 4 days away. In 60 minutes together, we build your personal kit. Anchor phrases for when your mind goes blank, grounding scripts for before you walk in, and a prep note that holds the details that matter most, so you are not trying to hold them in your head while someone is talking over you. You will leave that room with tools that are yours to keep and use every hard room from that day forward. It's $49. There's a 14-day replay if you cannot be there live, because we understand that caregiving is not set in stone and that we have to be flexible. So we're providing that flexibility for you to still walk away with this kit in hand, whether you're live or whether you watch the replay. Caregivers are already registered. The link is in the comments and Thursday is so close. Go and grab your spot now. Today is day 6 and I will be back again tomorrow for day 7. If today landed, if you recognized yourself in the not yet, in the room that closed a door before it needed to, drop something in the comments, even just this: I read everyone. And if you have a question you want me to speak to tomorrow, put it below and I'll answer everyone. And if you are listening to the podcast, Nervous System Reset for Caregivers, don't forget about the Caregiver punch card. It's in the show notes. After you've listened to 10 episodes and received 10 stamps, email your completed card to support@jmbinspired.com and go in the draw to win a caregiver gift, because we would love to celebrate the journey that you're on, the support that you provide, and the things that aren't recognized because the loved one may not be able to tell you in person. All we ask is that you give us one episode at a time. You don't have to do this alone. You can do it at your own pace and come back at any time. Thank you for being here today. The system said not yet, and you kept going anyway. That is the definition of a caregiver. The registration link is in the comments and it's also in the notes below this live. It's happening on August 13th. I cannot wait to be in that room with you, and I'll see the rest of you back here tomorrow for day 7. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I look forward to speaking to you again tomorrow. Bye.